Alright everybody, gloves on, sass level up. Today we're going to be setting up a gothic bachelor pad for Leeroy Jethro Gibbs, my juvenile Damon Diadema, which is also known as the Tailless whip scorpion, also known as the twitchy little cryptid that looks like an alien on stilts. Yes, he's named after the NCIS guy. No, he doesn't solve crimes, but he does stare blankly into space like he's profiling your soul. He's going to be moving into a standard Exoterra nano terrarium, which is 8 by 8 by 8 inches. It's a temporary setup, but it's ideal for a juvenile because it's secure, well ventilated, and easy to maintain proper humidity and vertical structure. Once he molts a few more times, he'll get a full mansion upgrade with more space to spread those creepy little eggs. This species is nocturnal, skittish, and built for those vertical spaces, so the setup needs to prioritize climbing space, dark cover, and a low-stress layout. He doesn't want a playground, he wants a hideout. Now, for the substrate, I'm going to be using just straight cocoa fiber. No bark chips, no mystery mulch, just clean, mold-resistant, humidity-hugging substrate. It holds moisture well and stays soft, which is critical during molts. This substrate acts as a safety net in case of a fall and helps keep ambient humidity in the safe zone so they don't get stuck halfway out of their exoskeleton like a cursed Halloween prop. I then pack the substrate down just enough to support his steps, but loose enough to retain humidity and mimic a forest floor. No compacted concrete vibes here. And out comes the styrofoam insert. So this plant I'm putting in might look decorative, but it's actually there to block visual stimuli and give him more of a sense of cover. These guys hate being exposed to bright light, and wide open spaces stress them out fast. Damon Diadema are nocturnal, photosensitive, and incredibly reactive to changes in light and motion. And then we're going to put in some cork bark, the gothic wall paneling of the bug world. Filtered privacy equals reduced stress equals less chance of him refusing food, freezing in one spot, or sulking behind the cork for the next 3 weeks pretending I don't exist. The cork bark backdrop is packed in tightly with substrate. This keeps it stable and prevents it from collapsing during one of those vulnerable upside-down molting sessions. Trust me, you don't want furniture falling when your bug is peeling his face off. I build the substrate up in the back with more of the cocoa fiber, just to block off access behind the bark. I want him to feel secure, but I also want to be able to actually see him. If he disappears into a tight space, I can't check on him, whether he's just hanging out or in the middle of a molt, and I'm not about to tear the enclosure apart with a flashlight every time he plays hide and seek. This way, he still gets privacy, but not invisibility. Now, this plant is going to have to get a trim. I'm going to cut down some of the stems to make them fit with the lid on. I really want to make sure he feels covered, while at the same time not being invisible. That balance lets him feel secure, but I can still do a visual check to make sure he's alive and not shapeshifted into mulch. I'm going to do a quick layout check here. It's simple, vertical, and moody, just how he likes it. Damon Diadema are arboreal ambush predators, so vertical space and climbing texture is key. And here you can see the finished background and the top. And now I'm just going to do a quick cleanup. Alright, so I'm going to get a little paintbrush here, and then I'm just going to sweep out any stray substrate from the door frame, and then also along the top edge so the lid closes properly. No gaps, no footholds, no escapees. So Damon Diadema actually can climb smooth surfaces like glass using the tiny tarsal claws and adhesive pads called aureola. It's like watching a gothic horror spider perform a gravity-defying magic trick, and I'm not making that any easier for him. As you can see for the water dish, I'm just using a plastic cap for now. Shallow enough to prevent him from drowning, and it keeps the humidity up. Now that everything's set up, it's time to move Leeroy into his new home. I'm going to be transferring him on the same piece of cork bark he arrived with. Not because I'm lazy, but because it's the least stressful option. Tailless whip scorpions are incredibly delicate. Their long, thin legs are really easy to injure, and unlike tarantulas or true scorpions, they can't regenerate lost limbs, so direct handling is off the table. Keeping him on his original bark minimizes disturbance. He's already familiar with the surface and has likely anchored himself to it, which makes it safer for both of us. No chasing, no tools, no stress, just a smooth, controlled transfer. So I'll place the bark gently inside and angle it so he has a clear path to climb off it when he's ready. The idea is to give him total control over when and how he explores. No pressure, no disruption. That's why everything else in the enclosure is already set. Humidity is right, climbing surfaces are secure, and hiding spots are in place. I won't be reaching back in to tweak anything. Once he's in, I shut the doors, double check the seal, and walk away. Now he will get some time to settle in on his terms, quiet, undisturbed, and stress-free. And eventually, once he's moved off of this cork bark, I'll go in and take that back out. He's got vertical grip, stable humidity, and low light. Everything a whip scorpion needs to live comfortably and behave naturally. At first glance, he looks motionless, but watch closely as he uses his antenniform legs to slowly sweep the air, tracing his surroundings, feeling out the space. He's not frozen. He's calculating. This is cryptid-level reconnaissance. For now, we'll leave him to settle. No interference, no pressure, just darkness, stillness, and instinct doing what it does best. We'll be back with part 2 once he's adjusted and ready to creep from the shadows. Thanks for watching. If you're into strange creatures, shadowy builds, or bugs that look like they crawled out of folklore, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more.